guys, Coach Joe here. Today we're going to talk about efficiency and effectiveness of lifting. Instead of focusing on how heavy you can lift, we will focus on how to actually lift. It's not about how much you can lift, it's about how you lift. It comes down to 4 key fundamental muscle building tools that you will want to implement and focus on throughout all of your training. These 4 tools are form until failure, time under tension, progressive overloads, and full range of motion. All 4 of these elements should be present through all of your training. So in order to make sure that you are implementing each one properly, we will go into full detail with each element to make sure that you get the best workout and the best results possible. Here we go. First and foremost, form until failure. Form until failure is the concept of putting precise and proper form before anything else. You always want to train every rep of every set of every workout until near failure. This means the amount of weight that you are using for your resistance training must be challenging enough so that your maximum amount of reps that you can perform per set falls within a 6 to 12 rep range without compromising your form. This 6 to 12 per set rep range is what's known as the hypertrophic rep range or muscle building rep range. Consider it your sweet spot of reps per set to build muscle. It's the best rep range to be in for building muscle, but only if you perform those reps correctly. Your reps should be performed at a cadence of 2 to 4 seconds for the negative, as well as 2 to 4 seconds for the positive motion, amounting to 4 to 8 seconds per repetition. Once your form starts to slip, the set needs to end. Absolute precision in your form is one of the most important and fundamentals of your training. Poor form leads to poor executed exercises, as well as opening you up to vulnerability to serious injuries. Always train with form until failure as your main priority. Next, the second muscle building technique is time under tension, meaning the amount of time you actually stimulate your muscles during your lifts throughout your reps and sets. This is very important because it's not so much about moving weights from point A to point B. It's more about how you get them there and what's happening between point A and point B. If you're just swinging weight around as fast as you can with little to no control, you're going to build little to no muscle. Remember, you're not just trying to clock reps. That alone is meaningless. You're trying to activate maximum muscle stretches and maximum muscle contractions within the designated rep range. This can only happen when your reps are slow and controlled, and when you are actually focusing on achieving those stretches and contractions in your muscles. Again, it's not about how much you lift, it's about how you lift. Now, like I just said, I recommend using at least a 2 to 4 second slow and controlled stress-targeted cadence for the negative of motions, with a slight pause and squeeze at the point of maximum muscle stretch, and another 2 to 4 second cadence for the positive of the motion, with another slight pause and squeeze at the point of maximum muscle contraction, amounting to a total of 4 to 8 seconds per repetition of full range motion. That's 4 to 8 seconds of fully targeted stress, tension, and stimulation being applied to your muscles. That is a huge factor in growing the muscle. The third tool in your muscle building toolkit is progressive overload. Progressive overload is where you gradually add more weight to your exercises, both per set as well as over time. For example, let's say over the first few weeks of your training, you've been benching 135 pounds for 12 reps per set. Let's say maybe 4 to 6 weeks later, it seems to be feeling a little bit lighter and has gotten a little bit easier to lift now that you're familiar with the exercise. At this point, you'd want to start incorporating progressive overload. Your progressive overload structure sets would look like this. Your first set, you're lifting 135 pounds, 10 to 12 reps. Your second set, you're lifting 145 pounds for 8 to 10 reps. And your third set would be 155 pounds for 6 to 8 reps. Notice as to how you progressively add more weight you're also progressively performing less reps. That's because with the added weight, you won't be able to do as many reps as you normally used to. With progressive overload, you actually want that variety of rep range within the hypertrophic scale of 6 to 12 reps per set to really maximize muscle gains, as well as optimize and improve your strength. So again, for progressive overload, you want your first set to be performed with a moderate weight you can perform 10 to 12 reps with. Your second set should be moderately heavy, and you should be able to do 8 to 10 reps. Then your third and final set should be performed with a heavy weight you can perform 6 to 8 reps with. By heavy, I don't mean struggling for your life to lift the weight. I mean it in relativity to your lift. I mean heavy in regards to the weight you used in the last 2 sets. Your form and technique should never be compromised by the amount of weight that you are lifting. Let your body control the weight, not the weight control your body. Each set should be 7 to 10% increase in added weight. In addition to progressively overloading your weight per set, you'll progressively overload your overall weight every few weeks. So maybe in the following months, your warm-up set goes from being 135 for a set of 10 to 12 reps to 145 for a set of 10 to 12 reps. Then 155 for 10 to 12 reps, and so on. Finally, the last but certainly not least, the fourth key element to muscle building training is utilizing what's known as the full range of motion, or full ROM of an exercise. I've mentioned it a few times before, and now you may be wondering what exactly a full range of motion actually means. A full range of motion, when specifically talking about exercise, is the full movement potential of a joint, specifically within its motion of flexation and extension. So to give a few examples, a full ROM for a bench press would mean your greatest point of flexation is the point where the bar is just barely hitting your chest, and your greatest point of extension is where your arms are nearly fully extended. That's a full ROM for a bench press. Another example would be the bicep curl. Your greatest point of flexation would be when you've curled the weight up to the maximum point that your bicep allows. And your greatest point of extension, of course, would be when you lowered the weight to your side and your arm is nearly fully extended. That would be the full range of motion for a bicep curl. So as you can see, what it basically means is that full ROM is the complete movement of an exercise from starting point to finishing point, from the maximum stretch of your muscle to the maximum contraction of your muscle. You never want to stop short or cheat your reps. Partial reps will get you partial results. A full range of motion will get you a full range of results. This is even backed by science. The best and greatest muscle growth occurs when you perform the full range of motion of an exercise. So never cheat your reps, and you'll never get cheated out of your results. And those are the 4 key muscle building techniques for lifting weights the right way. You want to incorporate all of these 4 muscle building tools into every one of your training sessions for the best results possible. Building muscle is all about the fundamentals, and it's all about keeping it simple. I've said it a million times. It's not how much you lift, it's how you lift. So now that you know how to lift, get to it and get it done. This is Coach Joe. See you next time.